All right, so we're going to go to page 35 to start with, and we're going to talk about comparing and ordering fractions. Okay, so the best way, before comparing fractions, decimals, and percents, you should write them all so they're in the same format, because then it's easier to compare them. Okay, so to go from, so you're going to start with a fraction, and to go to a decimal, this is the notes telling you what to do. You're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. So if this is my example, I'm going to take 15 divided by 20, and my answer is 0.75. So that's what that is as a decimal. Okay, but now to go to a fraction to a percent, okay, you're going to first convert to a decimal. And then you're going to multiply by 100. Okay, so I'm going to convert to a decimal. So I'm going to take 3 divided by 10, and that's 0.3. And then I'm going to take 0.3, and I'm going to times by 100. So my answer is 30%. Okay. Then, then to go, so now the next one we're going to do is we're going to go from decimals. We're going to start with decimals, and if you're going to go to a fraction, you're going to write the decimal over the whole number as a place value. So we've been kind of talking about this. This all should seem like review. So if I was doing this first one, converting, that would be 4. And if I look, there's 2 decimal places. That's the 100th place. So I'm going to divide by 100th. 100, and then I can reduce this, and my answer is 1/25. Okay. And then finally, to go from a decimal to percent, you are literally just going to multiply by 100, or you can move the decimal 2 places to the right. Okay, I don't really care. So on this one, if I multiply by 100, my answer is 60%. If I move it 2 places, 1, 2, that leaves a 0 here. You still get 60%. It does not matter to me how you do that. Okay, and so then this last one is percents to fractions. So a percent to a fraction is, you know, it's out of 100, so you're going to write the percent over 100. And then simplify. So this would be 45 over 100. I can divide them both by 5. And so my answer is 9/20. Okay, and then to change it, the percent to a decimal, you got 2 options. You can divide by 100, or you can move the decimal 2 places to the left. Okay, so on this, you can literally just either do 6 divided by 100, so that's 0.06, or if I put a decimal here and move it 2 places, you still get 0.06. Okay, so either one. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to just do some practice questions together, and then the rest of it is just kind of finishing up the homework with this. Okay, so you can't really, if I look at this first one, I can't really tell you what it is until I rewrite them. So you have 2 choices. Okay, choice 1, I'm going to do this 2 ways, is to write them both as a fraction. So 1 over 10, and this would be, there's 2 decimal places, so that would be 1 over 100. Okay, I would rather have 1/10 of something than 1/100. This is bigger, right? 1/10 is bigger. Okay, or you can write them both as decimals. So 1 divided by 10 is 0.1, okay? And this is 0.01. Well, a dime, which is 0.1, is bigger than a penny, right? So it doesn't matter. So my sign would be greater than. It doesn't matter which way you do these, okay? So what I would like you to do right now is pause the video and do 2, 3, and 4. Pause and do those. Okay, pause, make sure you've done them so that you're not confused. So you have 2 choices here. Okay, personally, I think it might be easy. If I put them, you have 3 choices. You could write them as percents, decimals, whatever. If I change this to a decimal, that's 0.6. If I change this to a decimal, 2 divided by 3, that's 0.6 repeating, 0.66, right? So isn't 66 bigger than 60, right? Or 6 is bigger than that, or is 0.6 repeating. So I changed them both to decimals. Could you have changed them both to percentages? Yeah, 60% as a decimal, this is 0.6666 repeating, right? So you times by 100, and that's 66.6 repeating percent. Well, that's bigger, right? Or could I have changed them both to fractions? So I would have 6 would be 60 over 100. 20 goes into both of them. This is 20 goes in there 3/5, and this is 2/3. So 2/3 is definitely bigger than 3/5, whichever way makes the most sense to you. Fractions maybe are harder to see with denominators, so I probably would have put this as a decimal or as a percentage. Okay, so my answer is definitely this way. On the next one, 4 divided by 8, isn't that 0.5? Isn't that equal to 0.5? So isn't 0.5 equal to 0.5? So they're equal. And then in this one, I can literally just do 4 divided by 5. And 4 divided by 5 is 0.8. And so 0.8 is bigger than 0.45. Okay, so those are going to be things you're going to be doing in the homework. So let's go to warm up 2. They want you to put them in order. Okay, so if I'm putting them in order, wouldn't this, I'm going to put them as decimals. Wouldn't this be 0.5? Okay, 5 divided by 12, I'm going to divide that out. I get 0.416 repeating, right? And then I have 0.55. So that means that the 5/12 is the smallest, 50% is the next one, and then 0.55. So I just put those in order, okay? So I would like you to pause the video and do 2, 3, and 4. Put them in order from least to greatest. Pause. So on this one, I'm just going to write them all as decimals. This, 1 divided by 10 is 0.1. And then if I divide 1 by 100, I get 0.1 divided by 100. I get 0.001. So that's the smallest. 0.1% is the smallest, and then it's 0.01, and then it's 1/10. Okay, so put the numbers in order. I'm going to go ahead and move these. So this is 0.33333, and so on. And if I divide this by 100, this is just 0.33. So it's not as big. So my answer would be 0.3, and then 33%, and then 1/3. That one's a tricky one. All right, so on the next one, 11/12, if I put that as a decimal, it's 0.916 repeating. Put 90%, divide by 100, and that's 0.9. So 0.102 is the smallest, because that's only like 10 cents. And then this is 90 cents. Oh, sorry. I gotta write what it was. It was 90%, because it's like 90 cents. And then 11/12 is like 92 cents. So that's the biggest. Okay. All right. So you're comparing these and putting them in order. You're doing all 3 of what we just did. So I would like you to pause the video. And I would like you to do all 4 of these. Go. Pause the video. Do all 4. So 7/8, if I write that as a decimal, which I think is easiest, is 0.875. So that's bigger than 8.8. And if I put this as a decimal and divide by 100, that's definitely bigger. If I put these in order, I'm going to make this one is 0.25, 0.4, 0.33 repeating, and 0.34 if I divide by 100. So my smallest is 0.25, which is 1/4. And then it's 1/3. And then it's 34%. And then it's 0.4. So I put them in order. So on these, I'm going to put them all as decimals. This one is 0.6, 0.06. This one is 0.16 repeating, and this one is 0.6 repeating. So that's by far the biggest. So order would be 0.06, and then 1/6, and then 60%, and then 2/3. So I'm putting them in order. Okay, and last thing. So this is our last thing from this unit. I would like you to do these 4. Pause the video and try them. 1/5 would divide to 0.2, and 15% would be 0.15. So 20 cents, 0.2 is bigger. 4/6, if I divide it on my calculator, is 0.6 repeating. And this is 0.72, so this is bigger. Putting them in order, 9/20, if I use my calculator, is 0.45. This is 0.25. And 20/50 is 0.4. So the smallest is definitely 0.025. And then the next one would be 25%, and then 20/50, and then 9/20. Okay. All right, last one. I would write them all as decimals. So this is 0.08. 21/50 is 0.42. Okay. And so the smallest is 0.08. So that's 8%. And then it would be 0.204. And then it would be 21/50, 42, and then 0.8. Okay, so now you have some assignments that go along with these.